This is INCRadio, DCEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Magandang umaga, magandang tanghali, at magandang gabi to all our viewers and listeners out there. And once again, I am your host for tonight. I'm Sister May Zaragoza from the locale of Sugarland, District of Texas, and you are currently tuned into INC Radio, Texas. It is 9:01 p.m. and it's very cold now in Texas. You can actually feel the January weather. And of course, I am never alone. Joining me tonight are very beautiful ladies and, of course, our very handsome panelists. I'm going to pass this on to Sister Wendy. How is everything?
Thank you, Sister May. And it is really cold indeed. And hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Sister Wendy and from Houston. So if you're also in Houston, hopefully you're keeping warm tonight. And I will pass it on to Sister Jamie. How are you doing tonight?
Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, depending on where you're tuning in. I'm Sister Jamie, and I'm from the locale of Austin. And tonight, I am definitely trying to keep warm. I can't believe it's total sweater weather, so I'm enjoying this weather. It's currently 37 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is 3 degrees Celsius for all of you who are on the metric system out there. So how are you keeping warm tonight, Brother Kurt?
I actually took out my sweaters. So I busted out the sweaters a couple of weeks ago, and I've been loving it. It's really nice. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone. I'm Brother Kurt, also from Houston. And I hear in Dallas that they had 10 inches of snow. I don't know what's going on with that, but I'm going to pass it over to my Brother Keith.
Hey y'all, my name is Brother Keith. I am also from Houston, and yeah, you kind of have to expect some weird stuff when you live in Texas. I feel like last week there was a day that was like 70s, and now we have to deal with this. But yeah, other than that, I had to bring out like a really thicker jacket today. So, but other than that, I've been all right.
Definitely keeps you on your toes. So, Sister May, what are we talking about tonight?
Whoa, we're jumping straight in. Sister was like, jump. But it has really been cold. And Texas is, I feel like it's just a tiny little earth. Or wherever you go in Texas, it's a different weather. So, since you ask what our topic will be, it is about generational motivations. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. My Tagalog is showing up. But before we head on to our topic for tonight, we do have our hashtag challenge. So don't forget, once you send on your thoughts, and if you send in your answer for our question for tonight, make sure you put in your hashtag local. If you're from a different district, feel free to put it in there as well, loud and proud, as they say. But for our question for tonight, what generation are you in? Because I'm very curious to know. I think I'm not the only one who's curious to know, but what generation are you in? And what do you think is your generation's greatest motivation in life? So I know all of us have different motivations. Growing up, I know my generation, it's different. My dad's generation was also different. So we want to find out, like, what's your greatest motivation growing up in life, or not even just growing up, maybe career wise. What's your motivation compared to other generations? So I'm gonna go ahead and ask our panelists. I'm gonna head on to Brother Kurt. Like, what do you think is your generation's greatest motivation in life?
So I'm a millennial, by the way. Like right on the edge of millennial to Gen Z. 1995 is my birth year, and 1996 I think starts Gen Z or thereabouts. I want to say the greatest motivation for my generation is kind of just like to find a comfy life it's I don't think versus especially like the older generations. A lot of the older generations, I feel like they have a grind mentality. Like they really want to make a large amount of income to secure stuff for their family and stuff like that. But I feel like for my generation, it's more of like to find a space where you're at peace. That's kind of what I think it really is.
I feel like I
Oh,
agree with that. We are more, our generation is more on work-life balance, as they say. To
oh,
like
absolutely.
comfortable but still making that bank.
I feel like the pandemic also really caused a lot more of that to happen because it caused a lot of jobs to go full work from home or like hybrid work from home, which helps a lot with that work life balance type of thing.
How about you, Sister Wendy? What do you think is your generation's greatest motivation?
Yeah, and so I am also from the millennial generation. Surprise! And I would agree with a lot of what Brother Kurt just mentioned, but also to add on to that, we're kind of in a change environment too, like digitally, where a lot of the digital internet started to just grow so fast, and there were some ups and down events, like financially, like in some of the years it weren't so good, but some of the years it was really good. So it's a lot of change, and so I think, at least from my perspective, growing up, one of the motivation is how to be, how to navigate and still maintain like a connection, like a genuine connection with people throughout like all the different changes, and then kind of navigate through that.
What was different between all of us here? Was in a different generation?
Quick
Oh,
acts, Keith.
Keith? Oh, I think Jamie's like me. I didn't want to say anything. Okay, but I'll start off with Brother Keith. Like, what's your generation's greatest motivation?
Hi. So I'm a Zoomer.
Zoomer? Or all the meetings are in Zoom. Zoomer.
I'm from Gen Z, like squarely in Gen Z. I think I was born 20. I was born 2002, so I don't exactly know where the cutoff is, but I think ours is kind of similar-ish to uh how millennials kind of treat it. Our At least for me, my personal motivation is to just kind of have a life where I'm happy. Um and I mean, part of that is like having a good work-life balance. But I also just have very personal dreams and ambitions that I want to achieve. And uh part of what motivates me is to just, am I closer to that dream or ambition, you know?
So I feel like your generation would be focusing on themselves
Is
as a
somewhat.
motivation. Yeah, it's more on that. I don't know if y'all agree with me. I don't
There
know if
was
the viewers.
a interesting article I read recently, which is that gyms are having trouble with Gen Z and onward because gyms they make a lot of money from um people who sign up and then don't go. So Gen Z goes to the gym too much for the gyms to make money. Um,
So they're actually
if that
using
says
the place.
anything, if that says anything about how well Gen Z keeps up with their work-life balance, I feel like that says the most.
They need to be up there as a, how do you say that? Like the standards for like, so the gym now they're like, oh, this isn't working for us. And thank you, Gen Z, for that. But of course, Sister Jamie, you did raise your hand loud and proud.
Oh boy. I'm outnumbered here in a sense because I'm a proud Gen Xer. So I think in terms of our generational motivation, you know what? I think at one point I think Gen Xers were called like the slacker generation. We were like latchkey kids. We were like in the cusp of like kind of having some technology and having kind of like really the old school where I tell you, you meet me at the bus stop at 3 o'clock because we don't have cell phones, so you meet your
I
friend
feel like that
at the
was
bus stop
more
at
effective
3.
before.
Yeah.
That
So
would
I
be
mean,
more effective.
yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of we have the best of both worlds. I feel like, and I think, but of that Gen Xer, like we have a lot of innovations also that came out of that. I think a lot of the ones that have like, run kind of like major, technology or Fortune 500 companies come from, that generation. So yeah, so you're welcome for all the technology that you all enjoy now.
But I
I
feel
feel
like
like
we need to bring that back because people are running late everywhere. So I feel like it would make more sense now if we
it's
do that.
it's fascinating now because if you think about like even I'm like, I used to read a map before driving somewhere and kind of like truly map out where I need to go. And now it's like I don't think I'd be able to like drive anywhere without GPS. So, it's kind of a very interesting like contrast that, that we have. So yeah, I mean I appreciate I have to say, I think we actually have a comment in our YouTube chat that um, Gen Z uh, are the most good at getting good jobs. Wait, what is it? Gen Z and our most might be getting good job to keep up with our inflated economy.
Yeah, that's a good
Yes,
motivation
I
right
think
there.
so.
To
Yes,
keep up
I
with the
agree with
economy.
the.
That's smart.
And then I think there's someone also said that Gen Xers are said to be resilient due to situations we were subjected to. Our parents tend to push us to really experience life. And that is from our very own brother, Matt Carl Talons, hashtag Corpus Christi. So, I mean, everyone chime in. What do you think your generation's greatest motivations are?
I want to hear
How
from the
did we all
boomers
differ?
actually. Heike, if you're in the comment section, let us know. Because they, for me, from my perspective, I feel like they have the most driving force. Like they're
I
the
think
most motivated for everything.
so. I feel like a part of it might also be a lot of our Gen Xers, at least here in the States, are going to be the parents bringing in their kids, right? So they have a lot of motivation to be like, I got to get to the States and um like thrive, versus the kids who are born in the States are just kind of like, we're here, let's chill.
Like,
Calm
what
down.
else do we need to do
Yeah,
exactly?
yeah.
College? But yeah, I can see that. Like the first generation that were here really did have a great. Well, not only here, I feel like everywhere else in the world, like those generation, they really have the strongest driving force because I feel like they had. I don't want to say it. This is gonna be very debatable, but I feel like they had the hardest because since at the Jamie said that she didn't have the luxury of technology. So imagine doing everything. Like if you need to study, you really need to go to the library, find the book, read the book, write down whatever you need, go home, and then realize that you missed something, and then you go back.
And for those of you who know what a card catalog is, let us know on the chat.
um can I tell
Do you know
can
what
I
that is?
disagree? Am I allowed to disagree? Or
I did
my
say it
parents are
was
watching, so I don't
debatable.
know if I'm allowed to disagree. My parents might nag me afterwards.
I did
But
say
I
this
feel
is debatable.
I feel like, so I guess this is more of like what happens at work. At work, since I do engineering, so we have some drafters, right? And before, the drafters would do everything by hand, and now they do everything by computer. But the people who are doing things by computer, they're expected to do like 2 times as work as the people on by hands. I don't really know if it's like easier or not. It's easier in the sense that you're on a computer, but you have to do way more. So I'm not sure.
I feel like they're just making it complicated.
That's also possible.
That's how I like to put it. Y'all just make it complicated. That's what I like to say at work. It's like we're not doing pen and paper anymore. We have our iPads to do everything on, and then they just want another one to do more workload. I feel like it's just to reason it out. But heading on to our topic for today. That was a great introduction. You can see the group of people that are going to be talking for tonight. So, since our topic is general motivation, if I didn't drop it clearly enough, where every generation has faced different challenges, may it be work, life, education, and social circles. All of these were surpassed according to what motivates or drives them to reach success or goals that have been set. What are the different reasons or what drives each generation to work for or achieve this success? What do you think, Sister Wendy? What do you think is the first point or stepping stone that people would work for as motivators?
Ooh, it does differ between people, and I would say it differs between generations, but a better life or financial freedom and reaching self goal, self achievement. I think that those are kind of the big, I guess, the big motivators that could potentially span across different generations or, as a common motivation. But I'm also curious to hear what do you think, Sister Jamie, about that question as well?
I mean, at least from my perspective, I feel like the motivating factor for a lot of like these kinds of like wanting to reach success and things like that is truly family when it comes down to it, right? Like I think for those who have children, grandchildren, I think what they what motivates them is to be able to provide that that kind of life that maybe them as growing up, because I know that my mom is a baby boomer, like they grew up in a in their generation, it was like it was very poor, so that there was like this kind of mindset that like I'm going to get myself out of this situation. So they kind of like tend to, I feel like that generation like really like saved, and they were frugal, and they really like kind of wanted to create this like generational wealth. I think the first generation to make generational wealth for their children that are going to succeed them. Like for example, I think this is like from Brother Ruben Pasquale, hashtag baby boomer, or I mean hashtag, sorry, hashtag humble, and he's a baby boomer. And so it's true, you work hard, succeed, and motivate the next generations to do better. So I think that's it's so true. It's like you build this kind of generational wealth, like you're the first in your family, and then that kind of hopefully gets passed on to generation after generation. So I think family is definitely the biggest like motivator for everyone across the board.
I mean, maybe that's why I'm just trying to chill out because I don't have a family yet. That could be it. That might actually be it.
And that's how you live your life. Enjoy it to the fullest.
Or
All right.
sometimes I feel like like people use it as an excuse to say I'm not ready to get married because I haven't, like saved
Yeah,
up enough money, or haven't,
I feel like we
accomplished
should ask
the.
Ate Wendy then. Ate Wendy, now that you're married, did your motivations
your
change?
spotlight.
Yeah, how did the spotlight come back over here? I wonder.
I'm gonna go and ask, like, in your perspective, how different is every generation when it comes to finding motivation for success or to success? Like, how do you think, in your perspective, because we're not doing any research here, how different is every generation when it comes to finding motivation to success?
Yeah, that's very true. And it's really based on observation, like working with different generations at work or just interactions. I would say it's a little bit different just also because of kind of the environment that we grew up in. And every environment, like with or without advanced technology, it presents different challenges throughout. I've heard kids where in I think the third grade now they have to write like a full on page of these, like a very well structured thesis type book report, where in third grade I remember I just had to read a very easy book and just be able to say, oh yes, I liked it and what the characters were doing, versus nowadays like it's a very different environment. So I think based on that, like what environment they are, the motivations are really different, and especially what each generation is focused on. Like what Sister Jamie said, family, of course, that kind of transcends different generations. But then building on top of that, like what Keith mentioned earlier, like in Gen Z or from his perspective, focusing on like achieving self goals and things like that. And so, speaking of Brother Keith, I'd also want to hear from your perspective, like how different do you feel are the motivations between each generation?
Okay. So fun fact. Fun fact. I minored in sociology. So
So this is your turf.
a little bit, slightly, I guess. And one thing that I learned is actually that the the Asian immigrant population of the United States um has a tendency to uh push on like a little bit like some sort of pressure that is felt by the generation that is born in the United States in order to succeed. Um, and so a lot of them are pressured to become, say, doctors or lawyers or uh, attain occupations with high uh, general perceived success. Um, and that's why you see a lot of there's a lot of like Asian doctors or Asian lawyers or Asian like engineers instead of, say, people who are pursuing the liberal arts or fine arts. um and that sort of pressure seems to conflict with a lot of the values that Gen Z has, of what they want instead of what is perceived best for them, I guess.
Since we have all of those opinions, I've heard a lot of different perspectives. So this is gonna be fun because my next question is, in everybody else's opinion here, what is one motivation do you think that all generations would agree on?
Money
So
good.
feel free. One motivation that everybody would be like, yes, correct.
Money good.
Now you're trying to create a table, pros and cons.
I feel like I don't know. Money. I feel like most people would agree with money is good.
Are there any cons to money, really?
Let's see. Ate
Some
Jamie, do you think there's a con? Because you're the wisest here. I don't want to take the. You've been
I don't know
through
about the
like.
wisest. I just like lived the longest from between
I
all of
did
you.
not want to say
But
that. That's why I said the
I
wisest.
mean, it's kind of interesting because it's almost, I don't know, is it subjective or subjective, right? Like I think what you can measure, that success. I mean, is it having ultimate happiness and peace and contentment? Is that your measure of success, right? So I think, um, you know, money, sure, it's always nice to have money, but it's funny because money also creates problems, right? So I think for me, like in my personal opinion, like I think I would measure success by how content I am with, with and at peace I am with my life, right? Because I may not have a lot, but it's like I don't have to look for that because I have this peace and contentment. So that's for me personally. I strive for that. Again, subjective. Everybody has their, what they think is, their motivation, right? So I think it varies, and so that would be mine. Sound off on the comments below. What are yours? What are
I feel
your
like
motivation?
I feel
So
like the
yeah, so
most would
and I,
be
I
like,
think we have a lot of comments too
yeah,
online. Everybody's
peaceful and
definitely
happiness life would probably be the greatest motivation that I think most of us would agree on. How what peace is and what happiness is, that's up that's up to everybody how they define that. But you did say like there's a lot of comments down there at the Jamie, so can you sound off some?
love to. This is okay. This is from our very own brother Bern Gonzaga, who's staying behind the scenes right now. He says, I'm from the generation Kopong Kopong.
Oh,
That's a generation K.
what is that?
My greatest motivation in life is to provide for my parents, or at least help my parents in taking care of them. That is a very awesome motivation. Definitely paying it forward. Let's see. Sister Elizabeth Talon says they say Gen X generation is motivated by extra time off rather than money, and place a high value on personal lives. Okay, we're talking about peace, contentment, experiences. Let's see. Oh, and then Sister Blessy Magiga said, as a millennial, what motivates me is work life balance and having a sense of purpose. I totally agree with that. Let's see. MJ Liebau, Gen X cutoff, 1980. Motivated by autonomy and work life balance. Definitely. Let's see. Oh, Brother Jeff Freemunar from Resident Minister from Austin. Shout out. So, hashtag Austin. Gen X knows how to survive without internet. Yes. So true. Let's see. Sister Priscilla Batan says, hello po mga kapatid watching from Rizal. Hello everyone from Rizal. And then let's see. We have Brother Ruben Pascual also said, live a happy, productive life. Couldn't agree with you more, Paul. Let's see. A healthy life from Brother Jose Eleazar Calves. A healthy life so we can use it to fulfill our duties for God as well for our own family. Couldn't agree with you more. Let's see. I think, yeah, that, I mean, keep them coming. Keep them coming. I think we've got, yeah. So, any other like thoughts? I think we're kind of like getting down to that time this evening. Gosh, this like went by so fast, everyone.
As mentioned again, generational topics are always fun. So probably we're gonna have part two, our communication and this motivation. I'm seeing in the future we're gonna have part two. So to take us home, like what is one lesson or motivation you'd like to impart to our viewers and listeners from our panelists? Make it short and sweet. Brother Kurt.
Above all, the greatest motivation should be God, right?
Perfect. That's how we wrap it up. Brother Keith.
Um,
We
I
still
sorry, I stole the
Brother
easy
Kurt gave
one. I
one
took
that's
the easy one. My bad.
gave one that's really hard to top off.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, sure. If you ever lose faith in yourself, if you ever think that you cannot do if you think that you cannot do what you want to do, just remember that your dream is not a mistake.
Deep. Okay. That was very deep. He talked it. Sister Wendy.
I would say, definitely reach out of your comfort zone and reach for your definition of success. All right, to you, Sister Jamie.
For me, my motivation is to have peace, contentment, and good health. As always, I think as you get older, those things become a little bit more important. Good health insurance. So yeah, so that would be, yeah, that would be my motivation. What about you, Sister Mayfan?
The greatest motivation is just to be able to live life where I can breathe and enjoy my life. That's it. That's enough motivation with how to live your life or survive. But of course, once again, thank you to our viewers and listeners out there. Thank you for joining us. And of course, we would like to thank our District CFO Overseer, Brother Archie Talents. Thank you to our Assistant District Minister, Brother Chody Samson, our District Supervising Minister, Brother Noel Cartativo, our Executive Producer, Brother Imran Andaya, our Station Manager, Brother Wally Tarai, our Safer Coordinator and CEBSI CEO, Brother Angelo Erna V. Manalo, and our Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo, for making this whole show possible. And tune in to I0 Texas next Friday at 9 p.m. and subscribe, if you haven't, to our INCRadio YouTube channel to keep updated to all the shows that are being streamed live or posted. And of course, for our next show, INC Radio Caribbean. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.